Corey couldn't remember the last time he was so frustrated. 7! I said 7, not 11! The people passing by him on the forever busy Chinatown streets avoided eye contact with the large yelling man. And suddenly, Corey no longer had to shoulder through the throngs of people. And now, here I am, 4 blocks from the stupid dry cleaners. What do you think of that? A small older woman in front of him, taking the brunt of the yelling, turned her head and blinked up at him. Her English was choppy but clear. That is shit. Now stop yell. Be normal. And she was gone with a pat on Corey's arm as she slipped into the crowd. With a huff, he walked a few more steps, then came to a stop. The people in front of him were becoming denser. Loud noises, pops, and banging drums finally pierced Corey's self-pity. Judging by the dragon weaving its way down the street, it seemed it was Chinese New Year today. Corey could cry. Always on a Monday. He looked around briefly and spotted an empty alleyway. If Corey's mental map was correct, it would take him a street over, free from the crowds. What's one more block? He thought angrily. A few people stood at the alley's entrance, clapping absent-mindedly. Corey forced a smile and excused himself as he pushed through. It was immediately darker here. The buildings forced the afternoon sunlight down to a slit. Like every other alleyway in the city, it was full of refuse and had a less than pleasant smell. Following the alley, it led to a T intersection. Corey pivoted left, hoping he would see a street beyond the festivities, but it was a dead end. Should have been an out. Corey looked behind him in the other direction and saw a few people passing by the front of an exit about 200 feet from him. With a sigh, he began walking that way. A splat behind Corey snatched him from his gloomy thoughts. A garbled voice rose up from behind him, broken and sporting a British accent. "Excuse me, sir. If you could lend me a hand." Corey spun. His eyes landed on a broken body. The man's legs were splintered at odd angles, with blood running quickly out of the holes ripped into the skin. His face had also smacked to the ground. A few teeth remained on the concrete as he tried to speak through the blood running from his mouth. "Oh, shit. Hang on. I'll call an ambulance." "Why'd you ever do that, my good fella?" Corey finished punching 911 into his phone, just now processing the question. His mouth and eyes were wide with confusion as he stared at the man. "Why am I... You just decided to see if you could fly from 20 stories up. That's the why." Must have smacked his head real hard. The madman looked around himself as best he could, then shrugged, of all things. "Should be better by morning." Corey stared for a minute before realizing he was getting a dial tone from the emergency line. "The dry cleaner closes at 6. "Hey, bud, I called the ambulance, so it should be here soon. 'Cause I can't help anyways. I'll see if someone on the street can call 911, or is a nurse, or something." "Okay, well, bye!" Corey grit his teeth and sucked air as he turned. "At least crazies don't feel pain, I guess. Plus I'll just shout and someone will do something, right?" The odd British voice rose up from behind Corey. "Oh my, what a strange feeling!" The gurgling was gone. As much as he wanted to just put this day out of his mind, he had to look back. Maybe he ran out of blood? The broken man floated about 5 feet above the ground. His leg twisted about, seemingly of its own accord, in stilted circles, trying to realign itself before failing, then starting in the opposite direction, making sickening deep pops as it did so. The blood that had been leaking out of the man was gone. There were no stains visible on his clothes. A flash of white singed Corey's eyes. He tried throwing his hands up in front of his face to shield himself, but the damage was done. Blindly, he groped for the dumpster that sat next to him and pulled himself behind it. "Oh, crumpets and tea! What new experience is this?" An odd sound like zipping resounded through the alleyway, then echoed as if down a massive cave before abruptly ending. Corey tried to blink away the splotches of rainbow colors as his vision fought to return. A voice rang out loudly in that same odd echoing way. "Oh man, look at it! He's all kinds of glitchy!" A second, quieter voice spoke with the same echo. Yeah, this whole alley is messed up. Look, there's even supposed to be an opening to the street here, according to the original layout. The first voice, the louder of the two, spoke. Well, it's been ages since they patched New York. The code is flopping all over itself. Literally. A few more concerning pops punctuated the British man's voice as he spoke up again. Good heavens, I do think I'm quite injured. Could you help me, sir? The first voice began to laugh raucously, the echoing effect turning the sound from happy to haunting. The quieter voice spoke up through the laughter. Is that guy British? No way. It too joined in the otherworldly chorus of laughing. Corey's vision was clear enough now that he was able to peek around the side of the dumpster. Unbridled curiosity spurred him onwards. The sight that greeted him made his gut churn. Some maddening spherical shape that seemed to turn infinitely in on itself, surrounded by dozens of rings, all with lens-like glass apertures, hovered above the ground. It occasionally flickered at random moments and became a single line before exploding back into its incomprehensible structure. The voices seemed to come from the thing. They sounded far too human. In the air just behind the still contorting body of the British man was a jagged slit of rainbow colors, glowing so fiercely white the alley should have been bathed in the light. But the glow seemed fixed, contained somehow. Dude, just delete him. The first voice had recovered from his fits of laughter. The man vanished. No odd sound, no bright flash. Just there, then gone. Corey started backwards in fear. A can went skittering through the alleyway. Corey froze. The first voice spoke again as the entity levitated slightly closer. Oh yeah. So should we reset him or just kind of get rid of him altogether? Corey heard a sigh come from the thing before the quieter voice spoke. We should have checked the area before we came to fix this. I told you they hate it when we reveal ourselves. Remember last time? Of course I do, but we have reduced authority figures' trust and cut out the supernatural patch. So... Corey could almost feel the shoulder shrug in the first voice's tone. So, we just let him go and hope he doesn't start a cult? Yeah, if that doesn't work, I'll blame you. I mean, do you really want to explain what happened to the boss? An amused huff came from the second voice. Yeah, you have a point. Well, alright, let's dip. With a resounding zip and flash, the being was gone. Corey stood in the alley in silence for a moment before the light and sound came again. The first voice spoke. Sorry, I forgot to fix the path for you, buddy. The buildings were instantly parted, and the dead end became a gap leading to a bustling street. No one walking by seemed to notice the madness. Good luck on the dry cleaners run! Zip, flash. Corey didn't realize he had fallen to his knees. He was shaking all over and rose to his feet slowly. With wide eyes, he looked down the path it had opened. People continued walking by the entrance. Some pushed and weaved quickly about their business, while others simply kept their eyes downcast and were pushed about. In the distance, noise of the celebration could still be heard. Just a normal day. With stilted steps, Corey made his way into the ocean of people and let them carry him away until he saw the street he needed to head up next. His jaw clicked shut. It seemed to have been hanging open for a while now. With good reason. Unbidden, Corey's mind brought back the incomprehensible image of the thing. He shook his head, willing it away. Nope. Then a final thought as he walked steady towards the dry cleaners. They close at 6.